Today we've got a crazy story of getting revenge on somebody who was way too pushy and trying to understand why somebody has a disability. We'll get into that in a bit, but first, call the older generation by their full legal name. Cheat code unlocked. My wife's uncle is a piece of work. Mainly, I think he's mad at the world because things didn't work out for him. Never married, no kids, didn't adapt after COVID and had to move in with his sister. My mother-in-law, she has her grandkids every other Saturday and he's been gradually ramping up his opinion giving on it. She has her grandkids every other Saturday and he's been gradually ramping up his opinion giving on parenting and other subjects the past few months. I let most things slide because it's not my house and I really don't care until Thanksgiving this year. My son wanted soda at lunch. Uncle decided to chime in that he doesn't need soda at lunch. I cracked the soda can within 3 seconds. This man then decided to say, I said he doesn't need any soda. So I called him by his full government name, dad voice. My kids froze, my wife froze, my mother-in-law jumped a bit. He tried to speak and I said, "Nuh-uh, nope, zip it. This isn't a conversation, insert full legal name again." He stuttered something about his mom was the last person to use his full name, so I replied with, "Maybe she should have more often." We're done. But he was disarmed. He was shaken. He was reminded he's just a little boy, and that's what we need to do with these folks. They aren't the dad, we're the dad. Unfortunately for OP, I feel like their uncle is a rare jerk that has the mommy issue secret double agent code stuck in their head. That maybe isn't a universal thing. It certainly would be nice if it worked with most jerks, but I think it takes a special kind of jerk for it actually to affect them. Plus, you do kind of need to know their full government name, so you already have to be pretty close to them. Lissa Bryan commented, "I said he doesn't need any soda." And wow, look around, a whole house full of people who don't give a single freak what you said. My 721 replied, "You could always hit them with the, 'That's nice, dear,' said like a dismissive husband to a wife he doesn't care for. That also confuses them pretty good." Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy crazy stories of traumatizing revenge, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. Our next story is, you didn't know my grandma survived the Holocaust? I thought I should share this because my grandma's pretty awesome. So, for some background, my grandma was born in Poland. Although very young, remembers basically everything she experienced. She was hidden and moved around Poland and into France during the entire time of the war, and spent time in a DP, displaced persons camp in Germany after the war. The only way for them to escape Poland was using fake papers and would eventually end up in Australia, where from there she would marry my grandfather in America. Now they're pretty well off, and many would consider exhibiting the American dream, coming from nothing. My grandma has an American accent and would never expect that in her childhood, she experienced some of the worst crimes known to man. Story time, my grandparents are at dinner with some friends and their friends. Now, the husband of the friends of friends starts talking about immigration and spewing all sorts of nonsense propaganda. Illegal immigrants are taking jobs, bringing over crime, R-wording people, and are destroying democracy. You know, a bunch of nonsense. So my grandma, the elegant, sophisticated woman that she is, goes, "Before you continue, I thought there's something I should tell you. I was an illegal immigrant and would have been ended if not for my fake papers. Would you have preferred that I was ended all those years ago?" The look on the guy's face, I just wish I was there to see it. After that, she spent like 20 to 30 minutes describing how she witnessed her entire family, except for her parents and sister, get slaughtered, and had to live under floorboards for years, almost get blown up on multiple occasions, and hear the deafening screams of her cousins as their parents are taken away and then cut short with the sound of shots ringing. Let's just say the other guy retracted his statements on immigration and started to rethink his entire personal philosophy. Proud grandchild. Edit, for those wondering, the United States government makes it extremely difficult for those seeking asylum to actually get refugee status, especially from the Americas. Due to this fact, many illegal immigrants are those that are trying to or should be classified as refugees. Anybody else ever been in a situation where you're talking about something that you feel you have some kind of knowledge on, but in reality, you don't actually have all that much, if any, information on in your mind and you're kind of riffing on what seems right? I'll admit there's been some times where I get caught where I'm like, oh, of course X thing happens. It's probably because Y thing exists or whatnot. Like, let's say, trying to explain how giraffes sleep. And I give my BS it seems right reasoning, and that's when I find out I'm talking to somebody that really likes giraffes and knows every detail. All of a sudden, I'm experiencing the full brunt of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Gifted Garden Snail commented, "Blunt force traumatized them back." That's not blunt force trauma. That is a crater where the person used to be. Our next story is, the break room is not your break room. We have a thief at our office. Mostly it's small things like sodas, snacks, frozen meals, and things most people won't think twice about. A couple of months ago, I noticed my cereal, applesauce, yogurt, and sodas had all disappeared. Because of a previous issue, I always made sure my names were on each item, and because I'm very careful with my money and bring certain things to help me through the day, I immediately brought the issue up with the office manager. Her response was first, "Did you put your name on it? Did you actually see anyone take those items? Do you have proof someone in the office took those items?" When I wouldn't relent on the issue, she finally told me, "The break room is not your break room, it's a shared space. If you're concerned about keeping your food, keep it at your desk from now on." I wanted to call her out on this hypocritical stance because last year, don't keep food at your desk, put it away in the break room. But hey, cool. I got myself a backpack that keeps food chilled and kept stuff at my desk in my drawers. If other people got their stuff stolen, I didn't hear anything about it. Cue yesterday when we had a small potluck at work. I brought myself a few Dr. Pepper Zeros. It's mostly the only thing I'll drink. And apparently the manager had a few in the fridge as well, except hers were taken. She saw me drinking one and asked, "Is that my drink?" I told her nope, I brought it from home. She demanded to know, "Is my name on it? Where did you get it if you didn't get it from the fridge?" My response to that was, "There's this amazing place called the grocery store that lets you purchase canned sodas. I bought mine there and I've kept it up front with me this whole time." I even showed her the backpack with my other stuff. She asked if I knew who took her drinks. I asked, "Did you see anyone take the drinks? And do you have proof anyone took them?" She got snarky with me and told me that she shouldn't need proof about someone taking her drink since her name was on them. I told her, my name was on my food also, but it didn't stop someone else from taking them. You have to remember, the break room is not your break room, it's a shared space. Maybe you should keep them at your desk from now on. Am I probably written up? I'm sure. Do I care? No. This place needs me more than I need it, and I'm already searching for another job. Add-on, didn't expect this much attention in my posts, so thank you everyone for the comments, well wishes, and even the queries on the situation. Also, thank you for the awards, they are appreciated. Also, happy Turkey Day folks, and here's hoping that you're all off tomorrow. If not, and the urge to rage quit happens, may you go with it and find a much better and higher paying job immediately. Shoot, if that happened to me and my boss was still using the break room fridge to store their stuff, maybe you'd want to do what OP accidentally did, but on purpose. See what kind of stuff they're bringing, what kind of containers, and then later on you get just an eye shot and you have a container with you that looks suspiciously similar, or they're Dr. Peppers or whatever. Me? Steal? No, I brought this from home. Firefly416 commented, "I work in cybersecurity and one job I had was on the same floor as HR and legal. The two departments you would think would not touch each other's things, but yet they constantly stole my sodas and food." Farius RV replied, "Considering the people who work in HR and legal, I'm not the least bit surprised." Our next story is Death Messages Top Silent Areas. Background, long-distance train in Germany have a silent area that my partners and I go to sit in if we travel alone. There also was a comedian my partner and a former coworker had tickets for in his hometown. We booked train tickets for this occasion. To the story, my partner's grandfather had been in the hospital for a few weeks. It was clear that he was dying slowly. My partner is a nurse and had already made peace with it by the day he was traveling, but at the morning of the trip, they decided to turn off life support. My partner hopped on the train while the old man was still alive and sat in his reserved seat in the silent section. His phone rings and his mom is on the other end, telling him Grandpa just died. My partner said thanks, asked her if she's okay, and tells her he can't talk to her longer to respect the quiet area, while already starting to cry. He then cut the call as short as possible and then tried to cry as silent as possible. Some lady came over and started screaming at him about how he really should have booked another seat if he planned on talking on the phone. He looked up at her, still crying, and snapped at her, "Sorry, I didn't know my grandpa would die when I booked the seat. Nothing more I can do than cut the information call as short as possible." At least she left him alone afterwards and he got home without another disturbance. Someone a row over told him it would have been fine if he talked to his mom a bit longer. It would have been okay, but he is the person to mourn in quiet. First of all, my condolences to OP's partner or friend. I'm not sure if the translation is completely accurate. You would just hope that in a situation like that, although it is a silent, booked area, that people would have a bit of humanity, especially when he's silently trying to keep his crying to himself. I mean, I think it's fair if you have a ticket there and you're sitting nearby and you're kind of quietly miffed to yourself that you have to listen to somebody's sniffles in the silent section, but don't be an outright huge jerk like that lady was. Our next story is, do you still think it's funny? Was at a clinic for testing needed before an upcoming medical appointment. Walked up to the kiosk to check in, realized I couldn't remember my phone number. I whispered to myself, I can't believe I forgot my phone number. The office was crowded and the kiosk was easily visible by half who were present, so people noticed, and about 7 people started laughing. Not helpful because it was making my anxiety worse, meaning that I really couldn't focus on trying to remember my phone number. Some older geezer says, "Yuck, yuck, having problems?" More laughter from the crowd. I turned and looked him in the eye with a smile and said, "Happens more often than I'd like, since my traumatic brain injury." Truth. Suddenly, crickets. Oh, and it looked like he swallowed one. I remembered my number and finished checking in. I then smiled again and limped slowly to a seat far away from him and the others who had been laughing. Everyone else became acutely aware that they had been giving someone with a brain injury and mobility issues. 2 went outside to wait in their cars. The others became extremely interested in their phones. I didn't cry or show any signs of them getting to me, but people suck. Thankfully, most smartphones these days have some kind of function that you can go into like the settings or like the about me and it'll tell you what your number actually is. Is there a name for that though, by the way? And I'm not talking about a traumatic brain injury, I'm talking about when you take something for granted, so when it should be very easy, common information to just spit right out, you all of a sudden overthink it and you jumble it up. I had that the other day where I needed my social security number for something, and I knew it and took it for granted over years, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, was it that number in this place, or was it that number in this place? It felt like an actual concern when I had to go and find the actual card just to remember. Committee Think 7683 commented, I call my partner half a dozen times a week just to locate their phone. Otter Mayhem replied, my husband legit forgets his number all the time. He's got a case that's see-through, so I just wrote his number on a slip of paper and put it in the case at the back of the phone. Now he just has to flip it over to see it. Works for him. Our next story is introducing my niece to my brother's least favorite music. As an aunt and a sister, I take my roles very seriously. It is entirely up to me whether or not the nieces and nephews are properly and age-appropriately educated in the ways of the world. It's a daunting task because it is extremely powerful. My siblings were often abusive of everyone while we were all growing up through perpetual trauma. I'm the youngest, the quietest, the normal one in comparison to the rest of you kid who just wanted everyone to be happy together. It was pretty easy to break my sensitive little heart, so my brother would do it for fun. At a certain age, I came to adore pop music and discovered my first favorite band. I saved and bought every CD, but listening to this band, let alone dancing and singing and lip syncing, earned me some of the most hurtful ridicule of my young little life. I wound up always using headphones, hiding my CDs, and spending a lot of time alone in my room trying not to get caught listening to them. Out of sight, out of mind worked on my siblings, but he still had the ammunition and made an art of honing it. Watching him be a new father has been the most bizarre, wonderful, and also heartbreaking experience of all. He's an amazing dad who loves everything his daughter loves, and he validates her regardless of how much the stuff annoys him. Libby is now of an age to discover a favorite band and genre of her own, and I have a recommendation for her. The odds of success are high, too high to ignore, and it's almost Christmas. Update: all of your love and support has inspired me to share my secret. The impromptu guessing game turned out to be the best part. Thank you all for the wave of music from long past and the super triggering memories. One person guessed it: crispy potato soft taco. We must be spiritually connected. Okay, gang, please allow me to introduce/remind you all of Jump 5, the superior dance pop band of the 2000s. You've definitely heard Spinning Around, their greatest hit Do Ya, my all-time fave was All I Can Do. They did a couple of Disney gigs that got them attention like Lilo and Stitch, X2, and my favorite Beauty and the Beast. They taught me some of the classics like We Are Family, Walkin' on Sunshine, Shining Star, and a couple of other hard-to-find covers like Freeze Frame and Friends. There's also a DVD where they teach some of their choreography. I can still do it all. Of course, I needed to be prepared for when they recruited me to be their fifth member after Libby left. I went to exactly one show because they never came to my region of the US. It was the last leg of their last tour. They were all in their 20s, ready to move on, but still sweet as freak. It was me, 15 years old and 5'11", and one other VIP in the front row of a church, and maybe 60 children under 10 screaming behind us. I felt so awkwardly fulfilled and too petrified to stand up, let alone dance along. If I were to recommend a song to look up today, it would be Hello Goodbye, a Beatles cover and reunion with Libby. Yes, I call my niece Libby after my favorite member of Jump 5. I've been setting the groundwork for this ruse since she was born. It might be a bit down the road, but I'll update because you all earned it. You know, I don't think I can offend OP by explaining exactly what Jump 5 is. For anybody that doesn't know, it is like the quintessential teen pop of the 2000s. At least, that's how it sounds from the 3 songs I just popped into for 30 seconds to hear. To be fair, I was alive and conscious then. I have never heard of Jump 5 in my life. Effective Fun 8476 commented, "My husband for a while used to poke fun at things that were my interest. We have a toddler who listened to K-pop in the womb. Toddler now loves K-pop. My husband is suffering from the movie K-pop Demon Hunters. Oh, and my sass. I love my husband, but I love my mini-me even more." Our next story is, woman thinks kid absolutely needs siblings, wasn't expecting kid to traumatize her. So, not truly my story, but I was there to witness it. I have a friend who I usually meet up with once a week as we typically go hiking and on some days just a light walk around the park. My friend has a 10-year-old daughter, her only kid, and this week her daughter was recently recovering from the flu, and so we decided to just have a light walk around our local park so she could get some fresh air after being sick. Not terribly long into the walk, as kids do, she decides she's too tired to walk, so we all sit at a bench while she runs around the grass a bit. My friend and I are chatting, keeping an eye on her daughter who likes to run over and hand her mom a random object she finds interesting, mostly rocks. Eventually, this older woman comes over by us as we're talking and comments on how cute her daughter is. My friend thanks her and they briefly chat about their own kids till she asks if she has any more kids. My friend says no. Older woman then goes on about how sad it is and how that she should give her kid a sibling. My friend politely but curtly tells her how no more kids will ever happen, and she's just fine, thank you. Well, she starts on about how awful of a mother she is for depriving her kid of siblings, and how only children struggle more in life, yada yada yada. My friend's daughter at some point runs over to hand her mom another shiny rock she's found, and this older woman takes the opportunity to ask her daughter directly if she has any siblings And, well, how that went was, "Sweetie, how would you feel about having a little sister or brother? Wouldn't you want some more company?" The kid replies, "I don't want my mommy to die, thank you." That woman gaped like a fish so fast and just stared at her daughter till she ran off again. My friend eventually decided to chime in with "I had to be resuscitated giving birth to her and had to have my tubes tied so I wouldn't die by having another kid. She knows that and would rather her mom be alive than a sibling." Woman decided to quickly scurry off after that. For context, yes, her daughter is aware of how bad it was, mostly because her sperm donor kept trying to bring it up in an awful way, and she's been in therapy for years and is very aware her mom would end if she got pregnant again as a result. Turns out though that it works out great to have your kid tell entitled people you don't want your mom to die. We all got a great laugh out of it. It's a weirdly great thing when such a dark subject can somehow be the thing that's making you all laugh. And I mean, it's just so genuine from that kid too. "I don't want my mommy to go." I mean, I could just imagine the whiplash that lady had where it's just like, "Oh, what did she say?" All of a sudden she realizes, yeah, I'm entering a conversation I know nothing about. Dark Deserted Highway commented, "Some people are far too invested in other people's fertility and family planning, and to turn around and manipulate a child into the conversation is gross. Glad kiddo had an amazing card to draw on this woman. Maybe she'll shut the heck up with the unsolicited advice in the future. Doubtful, but hoping." Our next story is, why does she get to work from home and I can't? At my job, we're supposed to be in the office a couple of days a week. I am in almost every day as that's my preference, while others stick to their work from home days quite strictly, which is also fine. But I have one colleague who I work with closely that previously came into the office but now gets to work from home full time, and I'll add, she is great at her job and a joy to work with. Slowly, it was noticed by a few people she was never in the office, and they started making comments how it was strange that she was lucky, must have found a reason for an exemption, has a special arrangement. They would look at me and wait for me to say something negative or complain, but I wouldn't say much other than she works from home due to personal reasons, as it's not my info to share with others, and she's always available virtually if people need to meet or chat about a project. We were having a larger Teams meeting recently, and one of those nosy Nancys raised it in a passive-aggressive way, saying how she hasn't seen her in ages and she's always at home and it would be great to see her in the office sometime, as their team all have to be in a couple of days a week. I sat there sipping tea while my coworker dropped the bomb that her husband has been having seizures due to a rapidly growing brain tumor and he can't be left alone. She went on to add how she wishes she could get out of the house more often, but can't even leave for groceries or coffee unless one of the kids is home, or she can get a friend or family member to stop by, and that the other option was to go on leave, but felt it would be a burden to the team and that she can still get the work done from home. Let's just say the horrified looks people had and awkward silence has ensured that hasn't came up since. I mean, maybe I could understand their complaining if there was a justifiable reason as to why they should just be working from home and they're just being forced into the office or whatnot, but it feels clear to me that this is some severe jealousy going on. My question is, when they act like that and they bring it to the forefront during a larger Teams meeting, should that person not be reprimanded for bringing inappropriate, non-sensitive, or non-important things to the forefront of the discussion, putting a spotlight on their coworker for no reason? Perdare commented, "The only reason you should look in your neighbor's bowl is to make sure they have enough to eat." Our next story is, oh, you need to know why I'm disabled that badly? Okay then. I have a few disabilities that led me to using various mobility aids depending on how I feel that day. If my knees are giving me trouble but my postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, or POTS, is okay, I'll use braces and a cane or crutch. This happened on one of those days. I was just trying to pick up my medication at the pharmacy. There was a bit of a wait because I was in the process of moving pharmacies and the prescription I needed wasn't in their system yet. I was looking around the small, family-owned pharmacy when this guy asked what happened. I was tired and in pain, and really tired of people wanting to know my personal medical information. I said, it was an accident as a kid. They said, What kind? How old were you when it happened? I said, sledding accident when I was 12. They reply, why do you still need those? You're an adult. Have you tried using coconut oil and peppermint for the cramps? I did not tell him it was cramps, and it's not. I'm also allergic to both peppermint and coconuts, so that's a little funny. I said, sir, I don't like sharing my medical information with strangers. This is when he scoffs, seeming to get mad at the fact that I tried to have boundaries. I try to walk away at this point, but he gets in my face. Oh, come on, it's not like I'm asking about your social security number. Just tell me. I kinda just shrugged. I've had a lot of people tell me that the story was gory, which is why I didn't tell people. This guy was being annoying and I just wanted to get my meds, so I just figured, why not let him have the full story? So, I explained in excruciating detail, keeping a chipper tone as I started in about how I was sledding on my family property located on a mountain, how when I hit a tree, I felt my kneecaps shattering on impact, felt my radius in my left arm break into two and twist horribly, how the ringing in my ear worsened the pounding in my head as blood ran down my face from the gash in my skull. I went into how terrified I was because I was in the middle of the woods, having gone off course, and no one was nearby. How I was worried about freezing to my end in the woods and never seeing my family again. How in desperation I tried to stand up, ignoring the feeling of bone fragments tearing into my muscles. How the violent dizziness from the concussion kept having me fall over, which let my knees twist. How I dragged myself uphill a quarter of a mile through the trees and snow until I saw my house. I was detailed about it, staring at him unblinking as I watched him go green once I started explaining exactly what it feels like to feel your bone fragments moving around in your knee as blood ran into my eyes. How a genetic disorder that weakened my muscle tissue let the bone fragments move from where they belong more than it would in normal people. Hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos for those who are curious. At this point, my medication was ready and I picked it up from the pharmacist and left, leaving the guy nauseous and flabbergasted. I write for fun, and my dream is to write a book about torture methods through history, so explaining gory details is easy for me. Hope it taught the guy to keep his nose out of the business of disabled people, but I doubt it. Really wonder why being disabled makes strangers feel so entitled to your medical information, but oh well, I'll just describe it all in detail. So I'm going to try to answer OP's question and kind of spitball it out there. I think it's maybe one part human curiosity and one part lack of respect for the people around them. Curiosity because when you see somebody who is so in a starkly different situation than yours, do you not have that little voice in the back of your head like, I wonder what happened to that person? Now, what separates most people from the person OP met is the self-control and understanding the respect to not pry. JCX commented, "This is why this sub exists." Also, I've never met another person with peppermint allergy. Does your dentist look at you like you're nuts too? OP replied, "Oh my god, yes, it's not just peppermint, it's all the mints. Christmas season is heck on earth." Our next story is, dude wouldn't just let me play my game in peace. Today, I was in the lobby of my physical therapist's office, which doubles as the lobby for the urgent care in the same building. I'd gotten there early as I usually do because I'm anxious about traffic making me late and missing the grace period for appointments. So I pulled my Switch out of the bag I have on the front of my walker, and I'm playing Hello Kitty Island Adventure with the sound off, minding my business and bothering absolutely nobody. Some dude checks in and sits right next to me despite there being enough chairs for like 3 seats between everyone in there, with some left over. This dude immediately starts trying to chat with me about the weather, the snow we just got, how long the wait for urgent care is, and whatever else he could come up with. I was giving one-word answers and never looking up from my Switch because I didn't come here in the middle of the day to talk to some guy who leans over to breathe directly on strangers while waiting for his appointment for urgent care. Eventually, he looks at the screen of my Switch and makes a face before saying in a condescending tone, "Isn't that a kid's game? You aren't a little girl." Rage filled me because I'm just trying to mind my business and he just won't leave me alone. So I said, to the best of my memory, "Look, dude, I moved here as a decently fit person and was excited to start meeting people in a new city where I knew no one when I injured my back. Now I'm in a city where I have no friends and no family. My only person companions are my doctors, my physical therapist, and the door guys for my building, and I'm in constant pain. I've been in constant pain for 3 months now. I went from being reasonably healthy and able to needing a walker to get across my 400 square foot apartment to use the bathroom. So you'll excuse me if the only thing I have the mental energy to focus on that keeps me from losing my mind is a silly little kids game. I'm so sorry we can't all do whatever super interesting things it is you do in your spare time. He quickly moved seats. So I get the guy trying to be friendly, trying to be social. It's not really a thing that I try to do or kind of enjoy, but I guess I'll do the little one-word small talk dance with you if I gotta. The problem is when people like this just don't take the hint and they just keep going on and on as if everybody wants to or has to listen to their rambling spiel. I mean, I have a friend or two that, bless their soul, will ramble for like an hour and a half about completely themselves unless you step in and say something. Yeah, well, this has been a great chat. I really should get going now. Fit Discount 3135 commented, "Gods, I hate it when people sit near me when there's a room full of seats. I hate it when a person takes the urinal next to me when there are 8 more empty ones to choose from. Just get the freak away from me." I hope PT is helping you, OP. That sounds like the worst timeline you stumbled into. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another crazy, traumatizing revenge story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.